Chapter 8, Laestrygonians. Yeah, the last chapter was pretty hard, wasn't it? I found it quite rough seas. I don't mind admitting that, yeah, it was quite tricky. And I think now in this chapter, we're onto slightly calmer waters. This is a beautiful poetic chapter. And we're following Bloom again. And I like following Bloom, you know. We're back in Bloom's head and we're going around the streets of Dublin and he's looking for something to eat. And we're in his thoughts, and it's mixed with action, looking around the streets of Dublin, going in and out of different places, seeing characters, making mental notes about people that you see. And I think that's the thing that Joyce really does well. It's like he gives a voice to the brain. You know, when we're walking down the street, you know, you see someone and you have a mental thought about that person, and it's so quick because it's just a thought. Nobody has ever really, in a book, I don't think, bothered to put that down on paper apart from Joyce, and that's why the book is this thick and it's only one day in the life of two people, you know, because he is trying to note down and trying to capture the erratic thought streams that people have and how they jump from one thing to the other, and they're judging people and they're looking at this and looking at that and making random connections. Yeah, and he's great at it. I remember I found one thing in this chapter that I remember from my first read, which I thought was absolute genius, when he says the line, "poached eggs on ghost," which I just thought that's just so good. He's describing this guy. Charlie Bulger used to come out on his high horse, cocked hat, puffed, powdered and shaved. Look at the woebegone walk of him, eating a bad egg, poached egg on ghost. Just pure puntastic, poetic brilliance from Joyce there, which I really loved. And it's really funny, like, I'm not gonna go in, I keep saying I'm not gonna go in and like do a line by line, this is what this means, this is what that means, for two reasons. One, it's boring, I can't be arsed, and you won't like it either. Two, like, I read this book, a chapter, like over several nights, 2 or 3 nights, I don't know, depending on how long it is. I always just do 10 pages a night. And like, you can't remember every single fucking thing that happens in it, like, because it's just so flitting about. I'm there at the time understanding it, but going back and going to, oh, and then he thought about this, and then he did this, and then he thought, go to the Sparks notes for that. That is brilliant for looking, if you're confused about what a bit is, go into the Sparks notes. Even read the Sparks notes before you go into a chapter. So I'm not going to do all what happened when, because really nothing happened. Bloom just wandered around Dublin and bumped into some acquaintances and ate, you know, a dinner and had a lot of thoughts. But I had a bit of a, I don't know what it was really. I was reading this chapter and I realised all of a sudden that what we're reading here is pure art, I think. And it's the difference between modern art, which I'm a really big fan of, and maybe a traditional art in the traditional form. You know, say my mum, for example, she would think art, someone was a good artist if they could draw a lifelike representation of a thing, you know, and if something's more abstract, she's not down with it. Joyce is abstract, you know. And for example, I'm going to take this cafe scene, like when Joyce goes into like this cafe to get something to eat, the restaurant, it's the Burton restaurant he goes into. And there are many ways, if you're an author, right, of describing a character walking into a restaurant, yeah? How are you going to describe the restaurant? How are you going to like describe the people who are eating in that restaurant, right? And what Joyce does is he does it in such a way that no other writer would think of doing. He brings the sights, the sounds, the smells of the restaurant to you using very unconventional techniques. So yeah, it's like, you know, kind of, I thought of how to explain it better the other night when the thought was fresh in my mind, so I'm trying to like dig it up now the next day. But it's kind of like, you know, you see a painting and it is what it looks like, and you think, and that the message is that very, very clear, you know, like saying man walks down the road, you know, goes into the Burton restaurant, you know, and you know, that's just like looking at what it is. But if you confuse people with the sights and smells of the description of it, it's like pure modern art. It's transcending just a mere description of something. It's taking you into it. And I think that is what Joyce does. Joyce, yeah, he's like a modern artist. Let me read you this bit from the book that made me think that, and maybe it'll help twig what I meant. His heart astir, this is Bloom. He pushed in the door of the Burton restaurant. Stink gripped his trembling breath, pungent meat juice, slop of greens, see the animals feed. Men, men, men. Perched on high stools by the bar, hats shoved back at the tables, calling for more bread, no charge, swilling, wolfing gobs full of sloppy food, their eyes bulging, wiping wetted moustaches. A pallid, suet-faced young man polished his tumbler, knife, fork and spoon with his napkin. A new set of microbes. A man with an infant sauce-stained napkin tucked round him, shovelled gurgling soup down his gullet. A man spitting back on his plate, half-masticated gristle, no teeth to chew it. Chump chopped from the grill, bolting to get it over. Sad boozer's eyes, bitten off more than he can chew. Am I like that? See ourselves as others see us. Hungry man is an angry man, working tooth and jaw. Don't, oh, a bone. See what I mean? It's busy, isn't it? That's a busy fucking restaurant. And Joyce does it through language. He doesn't need to describe anything. He just does it by the words he chooses. And when I was reading that, I did kind of get back to my original point, and sorry for going off it. It's when you look at a painting, like a maybe abstract modern art painting, you don't need to understand it to feel it. And that's what I think reading James Joyce is like. You don't need to understand all of it to feel it. When you look at a more like, you know, classical painting where you see the scene, it might be a pastoral scene or whatever, you can see what's going on, the hay wain, something like that, you know, you see what's going on, you can understand it so clearly, you can see, there's nothing more to it than what you can see, there's nothing to understand. But sometimes modern art and abstract art gives you a feeling, an emotion, and conjures up something in you that's more than that. And I think that's what Joyce does. And so you can read a book like Ulysses in the same way that you can view modern abstract art and enjoy it, appreciate it, but not always get the full sense that you understand it or get it, but you still like it. And I think that's what I'm getting at with this book. And that bit of that chapter made me realise it. You don't have to get it all. You just have to like it, enjoy it, appreciate it, dig it. And that is art. And see you next time.